where should we start? I think we can start with Kruthi because and then because that's the motion. You're in HyperIsland right now, so yeah, go ahead. So hang on, let me
Yeah,
just.
just a disclaimer, I don't have any presentation. I'm just gonna talk.
No, that's totally fine.
Yeah. Yeah, so where do I start? Let me just say, like, Hyper Island is not like a university where we would have exams or anything. Like, we don't really study motion graphics as such. We have clients and we learn ourselves. And I think like the first 4 weeks is when we have like workshops where we're introduced to like a bunch of softwares. And like for every module, we have industry leaders. Like we had B. Grandinetti and Claudio Salas for this workshop module. I think like Hyper Island is all about like making contacts or connections because we get amazing people to like we have amazing people who are industry leaders and we have really great people who are coming for workshops as well. So, and they usually give their contact information. So it's all up to us to just like reach out to them and stay in touch with them. I think it's like during that time, during these workshops, I was actually talking to Sarabhat before as well when I did illustration for motion course. And yeah, I have no shame. I just texted her on Instagram. I was like, yeah, I really love your work, whatever. And we just started talking like that. And so during this module called Sandbox, that's where we have all the workshops and we are introduced to all the softwares and everything. We were supposed to find a mentor, someone who can like guide you in the industry or something like that. So I was like, okay, I'll ask Sarabhat if she's interested in doing that. And she really was. So we try to have like conversations every other week and we try to stay in touch on Instagram every week almost. And even like during my internship search, she helped me a lot. Like I made a list of all the places that I would like to intern in. And she actually wrote like recommendation emails to some of these places where she knows people like Gentleman Scholar, Ordinary Folk, Buck, Giant, like all these amazing studios. And I think like wherever she wrote an email to, I was called for an interview there because of that personal recommendation. So yeah, I think that was really helpful. And with Hyper Island, I also got to learn how to work in teams because I didn't know how to do that before. I mean, I was a space engineer and I directly jumped to motion graphics and I was just doing School of Motion courses alone. So I didn't have like any experience with teamwork. So that was really helpful from Hyper Island. So yeah, um, that's my story. I feel like I talked a lot. But yeah, just like ask me if you have any questions.
Yeah, so no, I think that's interesting because I always thought like Hyper Island there'll be a more design oriented course because I
Yeah.
keep seeing your stories and it's like do you handle like do you get to from what I understand, so correct me if I'm wrong, like
Yeah.
they divide you into teams and then get you to handle projects from start to finish. Yeah,
Pretty much.
so I mean,
So
do you? Yeah.
yeah, no, ask. What was that question?
No, no. I
Finish
wanted
the
to
thought.
ask, like, do they give you preallotted slot, like assign you so and so roles, or is that something that you?
No, we do that on our own. So when every module kicks off, you get your teams and you get your clients. And as soon as you get your teams, what you do is you do this thing called point of departure. That's like a document where you just write down what your roles are, what you expect from the project, and like what your success and failure criteria looks like, and etc. So to do that point of departure, we talk amongst ourselves in the team and decide what kind of role we want to have in each project. For example, I was the project manager for one of them. So for project manager, you're like the producer basically. You just handle the clients and um, like have a schedule. You are the like the link between the designers and animators, etc. And I was the animation lead for a different project, and there was a different project manager for that. So we decide what roles we want amongst ourselves and go from there. But usually, like the uh, teams are not really big. It's usually like maximum 8 people or less. So you won't have like too many people in a department. Like for one project, we had like 4 people. So we just had these roles as like a guideline, but everyone was helping with everything. So, and I'm sorry about the sun. Like sun is falling right
Yeah.
on my face. But yeah, so when it's just like 4 people, you just have to help each other out regardless of what your role is. So like I was the animation lead for that project, so I did most of the animation, but I was also helping out my friend with like making the style frames and like doing color scripts and stuff like that, because I was interested in doing that. I just didn't want to take full load of it, so I
Mhm.
got to try it out, but also like be the
So you get
animation lead.
to put
Yeah.
on different hats,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
oh, that's interesting. I mean, so it's like as I understand, a lot of universities or whatever like schools don't specifically. I mean, do they usually function like that? Because I really haven't been to it, so I'm just asking, putting this forward to Raz and Rishabh.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I do know that HyperIsland is very weird. They don't like having exams.
Nah.
But I do know that maybe SCAD is probably different. SCAD is like a proper university, so I would assume they would have like exams and stuff like that. Or like projects, maybe. I don't know. But how is it in UID?
So in terms of
We are like,
yeah, sorry, go on,
yeah,
Raz.
go on. Yeah, so we are like traditional like school. So all the like the modules and assignments are like pre-decided, and there is no client or like industry work as such. It's just teachers and us, and we get to like explore a lot of like different things in the college. That it's not like if I'm in animation, it's not just about animation. It's not just about motion graphics like vector motion graphics and all of that. Like we get to explore like like in very start, like we like there is a foundation, then like in the second year we get to explore like stop motion and all of that stuff, like different kind of animations. And yeah, like in the third year we get into what we are like we want to like specialize in.
Mhm.
So there is no industry work or like client work as such, like expect the internship. Yeah.
So, like whatever like assignments we get, we are supposed to treat them as not I'll not say treat them as client projects, but treat them as hypothetical projects which are happening in the real world. So
Yeah.
all the factors that we will be considering while making the project are going to be real world factors, but in the end, it's not a real client; it's an imaginary client. But definitely there are factors which go in, like the entire design process is followed, like for the end product to be logical in some way. And like after each semester ends, we have a jury where we are supposed to present all the work done throughout the year to a panel of jurors, and normally they give feedback on whatever they see during the day of the jury. So normally this is a person which is outside the university. So a lot of times we get people from NID who actually come in to take our juries, and they have a different perspective. They might have a different perspective from the faculty that we have in house.
Mhm.
So yeah, this is normally how the examination system works for us.
Like good and bad things is like real client like doesn't exist in this. Like you have like complete creative freedom, like whatever you want to do, you can like, yeah. So that's the thing.
So as I
You create
understand,
your ideal client in the sense that you just create the kind of work that you want to create, and then find that okay, this can be the use case scenario uh,
Hmm.
for this. So, for example, when I was in my, I think second year, I wanted to create something in 3D, and that is when I was actually getting started with learning 3D, and we got an assignment of doing a personal branding thing. So in that, I just made the brief in a way that I could explore 3D. So the brief just tick marked all the points that I wanted to do, and yeah, and that is how I made the project that I wanted to make. And yeah, so you can just bend the rules in some way. So just create your own brief, and then uh, yeah, and then work accordingly.
Mhm. So as I understand, you in Hyper Island, it's the clients are real. I mean, like,
Yeah, they're real clients. So usually before um, the course year begins, there's this department called Learning Partnership in Hyper Island that works to get real clients for each program or like each course or whatever. So yeah, the clients we get are real clients and they publish the work we do. So yeah, I think the downside with that is that some clients might not even know what motion graphics is.
nah,
So we had that problem like in the last module that I was working on. Our client didn't know what motion graphics was. She thought that even like a swipe transition could be like motion graphics, and she was like, "Oh, you could just use our product and screen record yourself." So the product was basically like Zoom, um, just a new kind of Zoom. And she was like, "Oh, you could just use the product and screen record yourselves and like add some flair as motion graphics." And we were like, "That's not really what we do. Like, we need to have some kind of story or like something, and we can't really have like live action either because." For that module, we were supposed to have a story and character and like some background connection. I don't know, like some sort of connection to motion graphics. So we spent like 2 weeks just explaining and pitching our idea so that they finally accept it and we reach a compromise and stuff like that.
I
um
feel like I'm sorry I interrupt, but I feel like that's a very positive, that's a
yeah.
very great learning experience. I mean, um, like if you're when you're starting a studio, or I think I remember Amin and I had, I think we had sat on a client meeting or something like this similarly, where this client didn't know what exactly we were providing, so we had to take like I think it was the two of us. I don't remember quite well if it was the two of us, but we had to take it out and show our previous work, and then they had to say, okay, these are animations. So no, they didn't use the word animations. They said, oh, these are cartoons.
Oh my god,
So
yes.
so it's kind of hit me like, okay, we have to like the work that we showed was pretty pretty good. I mean, nothing cartoony, but like 2D animations. But it kind of came under that umbrella for them. So there is this certain, like there are certain clients that you have to educate first in
Yeah.
order to show them, like make them understand the positive value that you can provide them.
I
So I feel like,
know.
yeah, I mean, working with a real client that could give you an edge. I mean, I feel like that actually gives an edge because you're not in the safe zone.
Yeah,
Uh,
exactly. Yeah, that's the
yeah.
thing. I think like it's very helpful if so I know that quite a few people had joined this program. They never even opened like After Effects or any other motion graphics software before. So maybe for them, this program might seem a little tight because it's only 7 months on campus, and then it's 3 months of internship. So that might seem a little tight. But for me, I had a little bit of experience with motion graphics before that. So for like 1 year, I just spent working on softwares. So for me, it was really great because I got to see how it works with clients. So yeah, like this was a really great um, educating, or I would say like it was a really good educational experience when it comes to like talking to clients and pitching my idea, because I never had that before. So yeah. And yeah, cartoons, that, oh my god, that's such a pet peeve of me, because the client that we were speaking to, she also mentioned like, oh yeah, so these are like cartoons. I'm like a 28-year-old techie woman, I don't want to see cartoons. And we were like, oh my fucking god, like seriously, stop, these are not cartoons.
Um,
Yeah.
okay. One like before we move on, I want to ask Kruthi, like, how did you prepare for Hyper Island? And stepping back, because I feel like I should have asked you that first.
Oh no.
I mean, like, what are is there any kind of criteria that you had to meet, or
Well, not necessarily. I mean, the application process itself is quite long. So for the application, you have to do like a task. They post it on their website, and you have to come up with like a creative solution for the task that they provide. And it doesn't really have to be. It doesn't have to relate to motion graphics either. Like you can literally do like a podcast, or you can record yourself talking to a camera and just post it. They just want to see how you think. And then you have a digital admissions day where you have like a half an hour interview, and you have a group task, and you also have another personal task that goes on for like 90 minutes. But other than that, there is nothing to prepare. I mean, once you get accepted, they do say that it's good to have some kind of knowledge in motion graphics. So they kind of recommend some courses from like motion design school or something like that. But other than that, like there's no preparation whatsoever. But only after you go there, for like the first week, you don't do anything related to motion graphics. It's just you getting used to the hyper way where you just talk a lot. You're just put in this. So if you're like an introvert who doesn't want to do public speaking, then it's not for you. Like they just make you talk a lot.
okay? So yeah, I mean, yeah, that makes sense. When you need to talk to clients and all. Like, so I would like to move towards Raz and Rishabh right now, because like after which we'll open it for everyone to like ask questions to you three. So next is Raz, Gadhiya, and Rishabh Gandhi. So they have been they are from UID, Ahmedabad, and they've been, I think Raz has been doing an internship at Pentagram, and Rishabh, I think you got at Clim Studios, right?
Yeah, so last year I did it at Clim Studio, and right now I'm doing it at Builders Club.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
Yeah.
these two places.
Yeah, Clim Studio is just awesome. So that's why, like, I haven't really checked out at Builders works yet. I mean, like, I know them, but I'm kind of like a huge fan of Clim Studios and like what they do. Like, they've got a particular style that I enjoy.
Yeah.
So like, can you like I believe you guys have a presentation of some sort. So
Yeah.
yeah, we'll start with that, and yeah.
So I'll just share my screen.
Yeah, share your screen.
Okay, can you guys see my screen?
Yeah.
Cool.
So can you hide the bottom thingy? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So first of all, thank you guys for joining.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is
Thank
the
you,
two of us.
Vishal.
Yeah, thank you, Vishal. Thank you,
I
Amin, for having
mean,
us. Thank you to the F9
yeah,
community for having us.
yeah. So
Here's
a
the
disclaimer. So
yeah. There's
yeah,
going to
so
be a lot
like,
of stuttering throughout the whole thing, so please bear through it. Please be patient with us. Uh,
and we'll probably like will make like fool of ourselves, and so please be kind to us today. Yeah,
yes, please. And please, before we move ahead, please, if possible, if everyone can switch on their cameras, because it's really weird to just see icons on the screen. So, if possible, please uh, switch on your cameras. Um, who are we?
who are we?
Yeah, so I think we've already introduced ourselves, but we put it in the slide anyway. Yeah, we are. Our square is the
R
two of us.
square.
In our boxes with laptops, calling ourselves a studio. That is how we have started to brand ourselves as a studio, because it just gets easier to get work done that way.
Yeah.
Um,
So
yeah, Raz,
go on, Rishabh. Yeah. So
I
I
think that's
like
very
as you.
obvious. I think that's very obvious.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
just in case anyone was wondering.
Oh, I didn't
so
know
R
that.
square actually came from our initials. That's how we started.
Yeah, so the day we were thinking of the name, we were like, okay, so I design, he animates, let's just put everything together. We are multiplying things. We had this whole big concept note written, how we multiply each other's strengths, how we multiply each other's personalities, how we form something. We had a lot of keywords, but in the end, the only thing that is very obvious is R into R is R square. None of the intense brainstorming that we had done shows in any way, but that is what our initial thought process was.
Yeah.
And now we'll just play a very short reel, it's just a 20-second thing, just to show the kind of work we like to do. Okay, I
Awesome, guys. Awesome, guys.
Awesome.
this
Me
was just
completely like
a
messed the
Beautiful.
keyframes.
this is just a
It was
short glimpse
not.
of what we have worked on. There is more work, and we'll talk about it later in the presentation.
Uh,
Now
like
this will
later on, just I'm sorry to interrupt. Could you guys share that link to the this thing so everyone else can check it out into the Slack? And I
yes,
think
I'll
that yeah,
add it.
yeah. So and just yeah. Go ahead. I'll put that announcement back later. Sorry.
Yeah, no, sorry. So yeah, let's get started. So the topic
In,
of the day,
internships.
internships. So yeah, this is exactly the thought that I had, but put into words. This is how loud I was thinking this question with the same emotion. This is the big question for us. And now we'll just get into the main topic. And Ras, if you can start.
Yeah. Yeah. So like be a lover. So like as we like all of us say like do what you love. Like keep looking for the work you like actually love, and like you would love to do like in future as well. So and yeah, like check the stuff out as well, like what like people are like doing similar to the kind of work which you want to do, and make a list of like that studios like similar taste, like this the studios which have like similar taste. And what else? Yeah, like just don't be just don't look at in Instagram, like expose yourself to like other platforms as well. Like Behance is there. Then like for like motion designers, like we have a motionographer, which is like very good platform to like explore and like see stuff. So yeah, just like keep in mind that like where you want to like work at.
Yeah, so
And
if you
make
don't
a
really know, yeah, sorry, Raz, go on.
yeah, like, I'm done.
Yeah, so if you don't really know which are the places that you want to work at, you'll not have a direction to aim towards. So if you don't know that you want to work at Studio X, you're not going to, at least for that is what happened with me and Raz. If we didn't know that this is the place we want to aim towards, we wouldn't work in that direction. So if you have a goal of some sorts, I think the kind of work that you do and the effort that you put in also, I think it affects it in some way. Now,
Yeah.
if you and like it's also important to like develop an eye for good motion design. So if you start looking at people who produce work which is really good in the industry, you'll eventually start looking at your work and be like, okay, whatever I'm creating is not good enough, and then you'll start to push yourself more and more. So this, and like once you start comparing your work to the studio's work, obviously it's not going to be anywhere close, but at least that will give you a push that okay, this is where I want to be, this is where I am right now, and now let me make a roadmap how do I get from here to here. And now when we say be a lover, we mean that really, when you're looking at studios, go like really stalk the hell out of them. Look at their likes. What are the studios that this particular studio follows? Look at the kind of work that they do, and just try to get a holistic view of what the studio does. And yeah, basically that. Just expose yourself to a lot of work. The second point would be just do it. So what we mean by this is if we look at bigger studio, at least for me and Raz, if we look at studios, like larger studios, the first thought that comes to our mind is, okay, there's no way I'm going to get to this studio. And after we think that, okay, I'm not going to get in, we are not going to apply to the studio. And if you don't apply, there's obviously no way of you getting in the studio. And
Yeah.
I think a lot of this comes with low confidence. If you're not confident about your work, you're not going to apply, and then you're not going to get in the studio. So just accepting the fact that there are always going to be people who are better than you is something I think we should get used to very early on, that okay, I am at level X and there are a lot of people who are much better than me, but that I don't think that should stop us from putting our work out there.
Yeah, like even the work which you are looking at, it's like made from like hundreds of people in the studio. So of course it's not like the level of which you are working as an individual and what they are like producing. It's like of course there will be a lot of difference.
Exactly, and studios are always looking for talent. There are actual people whose sole purpose is to go and seek out talent. And if you actually apply to the studio, you're just making the job easier
You
for
are
them to actually
you are
find talent.
helping them
So
basically.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think just have confidence in yourself that you are good enough, and just apply wherever you want to apply.
Like there is no harm in like applying there because like anyways you are not working with them, and what if like they rejects you? So like just like go for it.
Yeah, the worst that can happen is they're going to reject you, and you didn't have the internship anyway, so you have
Yeah.
got nothing to lose. So just
Yeah.
apply.
I think this is what Hyper Island is trying to get. As Kruthi said earlier, you have to come forward and talk regardless of what. I think that's what Hyper Island tries to get out of all of this thing, and you guys actually like went ahead and that's one of the important things of when you're a freelancer as well or working in a studio. You have to keep yourself open to reaching out to others. Yeah, sorry, I continue.
No,
I
please,
thought,
like whoever like wants to chip in, please like do like you can like if whatever the point we're talking about, if you have something to add, please stop us and like we can have a conversation on that topic.
Yeah.
So yeah, please.
Yeah, so
Raz.
like be a stalker. So like just keep looking and like be aware of like what is going on in the industry. Like just like as like Rishabh mentioned before, like just stalk the hell out of them. Like probably just go like see what is going on their like websites portal, like turn on the notifications in LinkedIn as well. And even like probably all the studios like post key like we have a job opportunity or like we are like hiring interns. So like just keep looking for stuff. Yeah, be a stalker.
Yeah, so if we like talk about actually applying to the studio, there are a lot of different ways in which you can apply or be aware of that, or basically just get information of whether they are taking any interns or any other position that you want. So on LinkedIn, at least this is what I had done. So on LinkedIn, there are a lot of companies where there is an option of turning jobs notification on. So I do that a lot of times to just to be aware of whenever they have a new vacancy. So just it just makes the process a lot easier for me. And then on Instagram too, they have every, I think every few months if they have a vacancy, they post it on Instagram. So just being active and being aware of whenever this happens really helps, because then you know when to apply. And that is, so if you apply at a time when they're not looking for, when they don't have a vacancy, there is a very high chance that you're not going to get it, because they don't want anyone right now. But if you apply at a time where they are actually looking for people, and they have a vacancy, the chances of you getting in are going to be much higher.
Much higher.
And one thing that I think people, at least I didn't do, was actually go on their website and then look at the job openings on their website. So on a lot of websites, they don't really post on Instagram or LinkedIn. They just post stuff on their website. So just every maybe 3 weeks, every 2 weeks, just go on their website, whichever. And obviously this differs from studio to studio, but just go on their website and see if they have an opening or not. Chances are a lot of people don't do that, and then that gives you an advantage of, basically a first mover advantage, where you are just one of 5 people who applied. So the chances of you getting in are higher. So I think a lot of times it's not about being the best person out there who can do the job. It's just about being visible in the space. So there can be people who are much better than you, but if they don't know you exist, they're not going to get you on board.
And even like I think like again like motionographer and like School of Motion also have different section for this, like special section for this, where they like put the job stuff. So maybe you can check that out as well.
Yeah, there are a lot of accounts on Instagram who post a lot of job vacancies. All of them are not for motion design, but there's a page called Creative Lives, and after the session, I'll share all the links. So they're called Creative Lives, and I think like multiple times during the week, they post whenever there's an opening, they just post it on Instagram. So following these pages also helps, just so that you are aware of what is happening.
Yeah.
So the next point is this. So the main reason behind writing this is that a lot of times it helps to connect with employees on LinkedIn and actually asking them how they got in and what their experience was. And I think 90% of the time, these people are going to be really, really helpful, and they're going to give you an honest view of how is it like working in the studio and how they got in, and just their overall experience. So just be genuine, be polite. You're asking them for help, and be patient. But like at least for me and Raz, it has worked a lot of times. And even approaching Amin, like the first time we spoke to Amin, and I remember this very clearly, was when we had gotten our first project, and this project was for Spotify through Post Office Studios.
Post Office Studios, yeah.
And we didn't know Amin back then. We just were huge fans of Amin, and we just texted him that, hey, Amin, we love your work. We have been following your work for a while. And he had worked with Post Office Studios before, so he really helped us out and gave us a direction of how we should be approaching it. So just like Amin, I'm sure there are going to be a lot of people who are going to be super helpful in providing advice. And we have specifically written LinkedIn here because like LinkedIn is a space to connect for professionals. There are chances that people might not respond back on Instagram, but because LinkedIn is a space specifically for this, I think the chances of you getting a reply back could be higher. And we can apply the same thing to maybe Instagram too, where you can just DM people. But I think a lot of DMs isn't the best way to go, because I think a lot of people are not that comfortable with receiving DMs. So LinkedIn is a space where you can do that very easily, and people will not mind it. So just to share my experience, and I think Raz can follow after that. So I really wanted to work at Ann Walsh, and there's a designer whose name is Sanchit, and I had texted him on Instagram saying that I'm so and so, and I really like the work that Ann Walsh does. How did you get in? What do you think I could do, or if you have any advice? And he gave me a direction that, okay, maybe you can create work like this, and he just had a few points, and I followed them, and I did get a reply back from them. The same thing happened with Buck, where there's a Slack group called Gambo, and the senior 3D director from Buck is a member on Gambo, and I just reached out to him on Slack saying that okay, I'm so and so, and I would love to like, yeah, I'm a big fan of Buck, so and so, and he replied back and he gave a direction of what we could do to get in, and then we got a reply back from them too, and the same thing happened with Raz as well. If Raz, you want to say anything?
Yeah, so like very similar like experience. So I reached out to Jorge from Ordinary Folk. Actually, I asked Amin about it as well because like he have worked with them before. So yeah, so this was my experience with Ordinary Folk, but unfortunately it didn't work out because of the like the logistics and all of that.
With COVID situation,
But
Raz couldn't go.
yeah,
Oh, I had the
for
same problem
internship.
with Ordinary Folk. Like I almost got it, but they said they are looking for like local internships, and they didn't want to do remote
Yeah.
internships either. So, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So Raz, you want to take this?
Yeah, write a love letter. So like this is about like communication, the mail you like write to them. So I think just keep it on the point and like make it sweet and short and like make it really personal. Like uh, yeah, like make it really personal. Like make them feel there is an actual human like behind this mail and not a robot. Like show them your emotions and like tell them you really want it. Talk a bit about yourself as well and yeah and needless to say like include your like work link, like keep the mail short, like the text short, and let the showreel speak for you.
Yeah, and at least whenever I freak the hell out on the mail. I fanboy for one line, because I always make sure to include one fanboy line on the mail, just so that know that I am super excited to be here, and I'm not going to act like okay, yeah, this is just my work and maybe you can look at it. I'm going, because I can't speak to them directly, I'm going to show that excitement through the mail. It can be just one line, but at least writing that shows that okay, you are genuinely interested. And I don't think this would look unprofessional, because we are applying as a, at least for internships, I was applying for a very
Yeah.
junior position, and showing excitement to me makes sense because we are just getting in the industry. And if we have that excitement through the mail, I think they'll feel like okay, this guy is actually interested and actually wants to get in. So a lot of times when I reach out to studios, I mention a project or multiple projects of theirs which I really liked, and I write specific things that I liked about their projects. So when I was reaching out to Clim Studio, he had he had a project called It's About Time, which was a short film that he worked on. So, and there were a lot of things that I really liked about the video, and I wrote things about that. I wrote about the workshop that he had for the whole frame workshop that he had, and I had also seen multiple talks of his. So again, yeah, I stalked the hell out of Klim to summarize, and I wrote about it on the mail. So yeah, when and obviously we want to keep it short. So when all of this comes together, I think it comes off as really genuine, and I think it really helps. So before this, I had made a huge mistake where I didn't make it sound personal. And when I was mailing to Buck, I addressed it as Giant Ant, and when I mailed to Giant Ant, I addressed them as Buck. I think this was around 2 years back. So
Like a template email.
yeah, so
Giant
please
Ant is
proofread your
very,
mails too.
yeah. I think Giant Ant always replies. I have been like, yeah, I have got a couple of replies from them on Instagram and all, and they're very friendly.
Yeah.
Yeah, so carry on. Sorry.
No, please, again, like if anyone wants to add anything, please feel free to like join in. Yeah, make the first move. So I think a lot of people don't feel comfortable doing this, where you approach, and again, this ties together with the LinkedIn point that we had earlier of just approaching people and actually sharing your work, putting your work out in the world. And I think apart from mails, this also applies to your work in general. Just put a lot of your work out there. It can be through Behance, through Instagram or whichever platform you prefer, but just putting your work out there, and send mails to people in senior positions or higher positions. I think this really helps, because if you apply through, for example, again, Buck, if you apply through the job portal, a lot of people apply through the job portal, but somehow, again, if you go through LinkedIn carefully and really go in deep, you can find mails of employees. uh, and if you're not going too overboard with the mail, I think it's okay to find a mail of someone working at Buck in a senior position, and actually reaching out to them on mail, and actually writing about your experience, and again sharing your work, and obviously all the other points that we wrote here apply. But just find mails of people working in the company who are in senior positions and reach out to them directly, because chances are a lot of people are not doing this. Chances are they're applying through the job portal, and if you can find a mail somewhere, use it to your advantage.
Like huge amount of like people are like applying from like job portal, so chances are very less if like they'll get back to you from like that.
That is really true. I got the same advice from Sarabat Morgan as well. Like, don't, if you can, try not to apply through the job portal. And honestly, like, if you like have a mentor, or like, let's say if you hit people up on Instagram, also, I do that a lot. Um, uh, like, you can ask them to recommend you as well, or like ask them if it's okay to get like an email ID to mail someone at the studio or something like that, and that's totally okay. Like, usually people are really nice.
Yeah, true.
I
Also, I
feel,
feel
yeah.
now if you're just applying through the portal, it directly goes to the HR team, and probably the directors or the main senior people, they might not even be aware of it. So if you're reaching out to
Yeah.
them, you also have like a plus point, because it's now going through the directors to the HR team. And if they really like your work, then they'll be like, please talk to them or whatever. So I think that is also like a plus point.
Yeah, so it's like you're going directly to the source. You're cutting through all the, like, everything else, and just going straight to the person who's going to make the decision of hiring you. Raz, you want to talk about this?
Yeah, keep swiping left, right. So like be persistent, never give up. Yeah, like just don't lose hope if like they don't like reply or maybe they rejects you. Like mail them back like after 6 months if you have like something new. Don't be that spammer, or like it's really annoying because like even if like just mail them if you have something new, because like they don't want to see the same thing again and again. Like that's like really annoying. Like just don't send them the same reel you send that 6 months back. So I think, yeah, just like don't give up. Like just like be in touch with them. Like stay connected.
Yeah, so
I
I
think
think
that's
before getting into builders, I think I have mailed them like 5 to 6 times every time I had an update. And the first thing that while getting into builders, I mailed the founder of the studio 5 times, like over a period of a year, I think. So I was mailing directly to the founder. I like didn't apply through the job. I applied through the job portal, didn't get a reply. Then I kept mailing the founder over a period of a year. And the first thing he told me wasn't that, okay, your work is good enough. His first thing was, I like that you're persistent, and that you have, every time that you have mailed me, you have added something else. So I think for a lot of people, more than the work, I think persistence also matters to studio, where they can see that, okay, within every time he's mailing, he has something new to add. And because again, I was applying for a junior position, to them that is what mattered the most, rather than having a kick-ass portfolio. Like, what mattered to them was, okay, this guy is willing to work, and he is passionate about it, and he's going to continue working, like, because he likes doing it. So I think
yeah, like
just,
make them feel that like like this guy really want it, like genuinely, like he liked my work and he really want this.
yeah,
So
but again, don't spam with the same thing again and again, because no one likes that. So be careful of whenever you're mailing, just be careful that the time period of the first mail and the next mail is enough, and every time you mail, you are adding something to your portfolio so that they have something new to see. And I think there are questions on the chat. Can anyone
Oh,
read it out
yeah,
loud?
I just saw one question that's like, what should be the subject line of the email be like? I have an insight for this. I was actually reading Freelance Manifesto by Joey Korenman, and he goes into a lot of detail about like how to make a good subject line. He says that even if the subject line and the content of the email like they don't really matter as much, the connection is not important. Subject line just should be catchy enough that they click on the link. I mean, I think it's also different when it comes to like applying for internship or applying for like a freelancer position or something like that. Because maybe if you're applying for an internship position that's already posted somewhere, or like if you know that there is a vacancy, then you can just say, oh yeah, I'm applying for, like, hey, motion designer applying for internship or whatever. But if you're a freelancer, then like it should be more personal. I don't know, like something catchy, like, hey, fellow motion designer saying hey, or like I got like someone sent me recommended by someone or blah, blah. I don't know, but just read that book if you feel like it's amazing. You get a lot of insight from that about like how to write an email and
Yeah, the
subject lines.
freelance manifesto is like it was a game changer for me.
Yeah.
I cannot speak enough of it. I
And
think every toggle meeting I keep mentioning that. Yeah, go
yeah,
ahead. Kruthi.
just so you know, Joy Koranman is amazing. If you email him, he usually replies a lot. Like recently, I emailed him about like a few questions I had about freelancing, and he recorded a whole video about it and sent it to me. And he also puts you in touch with right people. Like if you ask him, hey, can you put me in touch with this person? He's really helpful. So if you're, and he also gave me like a full blown feedback on my reel and like the website as well. So if you're looking for that kind of feedback, then just hit up Joey, just email him. He's
He
incredible.
he even replies on LinkedIn too, so you can reach out to
Yeah,
him on LinkedIn.
Yeah,
He's pretty active in LinkedIn, yeah.
Yeah.
And
super
I think
helpful.
like
yeah. I think Rishabh was.
yeah, I think like while applying for like junior positions, what helps, at least I think helps the most to them is making it easier for them to find you. So again, going with just putting your work out there. If you, even while mailing, if you just make it easy for them to identify, because there are going to be a lot of mails. If you just make it easier for them to find the mail, I think the chances of them opening the mail would also be more. So I think this was when applying to and Walsh, and they also have a whole section on it. So while applying, at least now this is what I have started doing, that if I like wherever I apply now, I just write my name and the position that I'm applying for. So for example, Rishabh Gandhi dash junior 3D designer, and that's it. That's the only thing that I write in the subject line, because that is very short and tells them the name of the person and what they are applying for. If they have a vacancy in that position, they'll click on it. If they don't, they're not going to open the mail, but still, like, it'll just make the process easier for them.
Mhm.
Yeah, while
And
we're talking about, oh, I'm so sorry, Rishabh, go ahead.
no, sorry, go on.
Yeah, while we're talking about emails, I just wanted to mention MailTrack.io. Like I've used it a lot while applying for internships. It is so helpful. I at least know if someone is like looking at my email or like clicked on a link. Like usually, I think like the pro version is quite
Yeah,
cheap.
pro version is like 1,200 something
Yeah,
per year. So
yeah,
yeah,
exactly. So it won't like send, or like it won't tag it in the email that, oh, you're using MailTrack.io or something like that. So it's super helpful.
There is this free version as well. It's called Snowview. So it's
Oh,
a Chrome
So how
extension.
does
You
all
can like
this
check.
work? So it just tells you that, somebody's opened your mail, somebody's reading it,
Yeah, it's
gives
pretty
you.
much like a WhatsApp double tick kind of scenario where
Oh,
if so there are two ticks next to your email, and if it's delivered, it'll show you like one green tick, and if someone has opened it, it'll show you two green ticks, and if you just like go and hover on it, it'll show you if someone has clicked on a link also. Yeah, and you get
Yeah.
notifications on the desktop as well.
that's crazy. I
Yeah,
wasn't aware of this. It's just really crazy.
it is super helpful. Like it, I used it so much while applying for internships. Like it really shows you how active or like how many times they are reading your email, how many times they've clicked, etc. So it's
Your mail basically becomes WhatsApp.
pretty much,
yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
That's really nice.
Okay. I think like you guys can carry on, like continue with the.
Yeah, so like this point was that I think this is uh, clear to everyone. The next is, yeah, this. So I think a lot of times it's also based on luck. So maybe the hiring person saw someone else's work before you and they only have one opening, and that person gets it and you don't get it. So I think a lot of times it's also about the luck quotient of things. So again, being persistent really helps. So every time, as we said earlier, every time you have an update, mail them again. Let them know that you're interested, so that you, so that just so that they are in the loop of like the progress that you are also making. Because again, so again, I can like while I applied to Builders Club, they told me that okay, like we saw your every time you mailed us, there was something new that you added, and we saw the progress that you were making. So maybe a lot of times they might not reply back to you, but I think if they might check out your work, and if they see the same email thread where every time there is if they see the dates on which the like projects are published, I think they are going to see some sort of a progress. And yeah, that's basically it. Just the luck quotient of things. So I don't think we can
Timing
ignore
and
this
spacing.
factor. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, the more you email, the more your luck becomes.
Yes. Raz?
Yeah. Drop dead gorgeous. Yeah, so basically I think this is the most like important point of like so far we have discussed. Like your work. Basically your work matters the most. Like quotes won't work unless like you do. So like even if you like doing everything right, but your work is like you have a very average show reel, or like your work is not on the mark, then like probably they won't hire you. So like work matters a lot. Like just make a very good show reel with like very groovy and like beaty music. Yeah, like that's that what like matters at the end, I
Yeah,
guess.
and I think while applying to studios, if you create the kind of work that you want to be hired for, then it really helps. Then because there are a lot of studios who have a very particular style of making things. So if you look at Clim Studio, he has a very particular style of doing things. If you see at like if you look at Ordinary Folk, they also have a very recognizable style of sorts. But if you look at Buck, they
Yeah.
are all over the place. They can do anything. The styles are all over the place. So I think
Yeah,
when
yeah.
you apply to studios like Buck, then maybe just having a lot of things in your portfolio helps. But if you are pinpointing a specific studio, then if you have projects which show that you can work in that style and you are very efficient in working in their style, they are going to hire you because they see that okay, this person works in a style which is very close to ours, and this can be an additional, this can be an addition to our team because he already knows the kind of work that we like. So whatever direction that the art director or the creative director is going to give to you, you already know, like in the sense that you already have that sort of a visual or animating style which they prefer. So it's just going to be easy for like them to work with you. So even if you don't have client work, just creating hypothetical projects or creating projects that you want to be hired for, or the kind of work that these other studios do. So this, I think, is a point that would be really helpful.
Like basically showcase the work which you would like to be hired for.
Yeah.
Like if you really want to work with that studio, then like make a custom showreel as well, like especially for like that studio. Maybe that helps as well.
Mhm.
Yeah, just like having a resume for different positions.
Yeah.
So now, assuming that we already got the internship, now we're getting to the part where that, okay, you have already gotten an internship. The Now after you've gotten it, obviously after COVID, the situation has changed where you get an option of either doing it remote or on site. And as even Kruthi said earlier, some studios are not really going to offer you remote internships. They are only going to prefer on-site internships. So this factor also comes in the picture. So even if you have the best work out there, if the company is not taking remote interns, you are not going to get in. So this factor is also something that we want to, keep in mind. And let's assume that you got the internship, they are willing to have you in person. Uh, in their studio. But now, I'll give Raz's example. So Raz was supposed to work with art and craft for his internship, but he couldn't go because of COVID restrictions and visa restrictions. So if you want to work, this is how much we have understood. We could be wrong, but from what we have understood, if we want to work in some other country, the company needs to sponsor you, and they have to pay a hefty sum for it. And because they are paying a hefty
Yeah.
sum, they would want you to come on board for a longer period of time. So it could be around a year, it could be more, even like more than a year. So, and because if you're still studying, it's not possible for you, because in your university you're only supposed to do your internship for maybe 3 months or 6 months. So even if your work is great, you can't go because they want you for a year at least. So yeah, this is also a consideration that you have to take after you have gotten the internship.
Yeah, this is especially true for US companies. There are some, or like Canada as well, because US and Canada, they have this sponsorship thing that you can't just go apply for a visa. For example, in US, you need to pay like, I don't know, $1,500. Like the sponsor has to pay that, and the sponsor has to apply the visa for you or something like that. It's not the same for Europe. Like it's really easy to apply for like visa in Europe. You just need like a letter from the studio or something like that, and you can apply for visa on your own. But yeah, especially US and Canada, their visa rules are crazy. And but there are quite a few US studios that are open for remote internships, like Gentleman Scholar and I think Art
Hello
Fellows as
Hornet
well.
as well.
Yeah, Hornet as well. Yeah.
Yeah, Hornet as well.
So I think it totally depends on the studio if they are, willing to take in remote interns. Because I think for a lot of junior positions, at least from what I have noticed while applying, for a lot of junior positions, they are not very, or apprenticeships, they are not very keen on having remote internship. And I think if we have time, we can maybe also talk about that, working remotely versus working on site, because I think that's also an interesting thing to talk about. But yeah, keeping to this point, I think, yeah, considering like this factor also needs to be considered, that after you get an internship, this is going to be really heartbreaking if you get in and can't go because of legalities. So just be prepared that this is going to happen. Yeah, that's it for this point. And now, assuming, okay, now all the points that we're going to talk about is going with the theme of after you have gotten the internship. Going to talk about splitting the bill. So what we mean by this is, a lot of times companies are going to expect you, at least in India, and even I think studios outside, there are a few studios, I'm not going to name anyone, but there are studios who are going to expect you to work for free. And I think at this stage, at least for me, I was really desperate to get an internship at a very at a specific studio. And at that point of time, you are going to get very you're going to be like, okay, I don't care about the money, and that's obviously like fine because we're just getting in. Like money is not the thing that matters right now, and you're going just for the knowledge and just getting the experience. But like they are providing us with knowledge and we are providing them with work. So I think valuing ourselves is also really important. Just because we are in a junior position doesn't mean that our work doesn't matter or it shouldn't be considered at all, because the work that we are doing is for their client, and that client is going to pay the studio a hefty sum, and it is not going to like cost the studio a lot to pay you. And we are not telling the studio to pay us a really large amount. We're just telling them to pay us a very nominal stipend just for the work that you're doing. Because if you're living by yourself, you have to take care of your rent, you have to take care of your housing, your food, everything. So I think, yeah. So if you feel like the studio that you're going in, you're going to get a lot of value out of them, and still if they are unpaid, then I think sometimes it's okay. But if you feel that that is something that you are not comfortable with, I think you should stick to your gut and not take the internship. So I think it totally depends on the individual who is getting the internship. I think it's a very individual decision to make, because ideally, obviously, everyone should be paid in an internship, but we know how it is. It's
Yeah,
That
it's
is
lot of
true.
it's
I
totally depend on the person and the company too. Like what kind
Yeah.
of exposure the company is providing to you.
And
It
I might
exactly.
be
depends on
wrong
that.
here, but I've heard that at least like in US now, if it's like a big studio, it's kind of illegal to take interns and not pay them. So they'll at least
Yeah,
like
yeah,
minimum
lot.
is like $11 per hour or something like that,
you are
and
right.
they have to pay you.
Mhm.
But it's not the same in like Sweden or like in Germany, because in Sweden, yeah, it's a whole mess. But can I also just say that I love the titles for these points? Like it's so entertaining. Just so you know.
Yeah,
Yeah. So if you haven't noticed a theme already, I think by the end of the position of the presentation, you will see a theme by the time we end.
feels like
It's getting
Valentine's
it's
will
getting
hit you
dark
hard.
slide by slide.
Oh, I did
Yes,
not.
it's going to get very sad by the end. But yeah, basically the point is, yeah, sometimes it's okay to work without a stipend. And okay, the situation in India and abroad is very different, and also because of the conversion and the living cost thing,
Yeah,
the amount that you paid if you live in
in
India
India.
and be paid by uh,
Indian
what
rupee.
interns get paid in the US, you're going to be a very happy person living in India.
Definitely.
So yeah, that also matters. If you're applying abroad, I think you're going to be very happy as an intern if you're getting paid.
Yeah,
So
because minimum wage there is about like $100 per day. So that's huge for us.
yeah, that is yeah. And in
Exactly. And if
India,
you
I
get
think
like, yeah, go ahead, Rishabh.
so. As I'm just saying that I've interned at a like a design studio, and I think and a lot of design studios in India where you get paid $100, so 7K or even 5K for the entire month. So you're going to get 5K for the whole month. And obviously you're not focusing on the money like as an intern, obviously, but I'm just uh like showing the contrast between between the two, that as an intern in India, you might get paid around 10 to 15K a month. Whereas if you're working at a
That's also
studio
too much,
based
I guess.
yeah, if you're working in a studio which is based outside India, you're going to get paid a whole lot more. And I think US and UK are the big players here, where again because of the conversion,
Yep.
it yeah, the amount adds up.
Yeah.
There's a question in the chat: how to get a US or foreign work? Like, do you mean like internship or freelance or something like that?
Yeah, I think what Rishabh Bhatia means is
Yeah.
freelance. Like,
Oh, so you just apply. I mean, at least now, like because of COVID, there are some studios. Even if they say that they can't take interns, you can still um like apply for junior position or something like that. That will be like a commitment. and you just I think was it Raz or Rishabh that were talking about like stalking and emailing them over and over again. I mean not like spamming them, but like
Yeah, exactly.
as
Yeah.
just keep adding new work and keep mailing them, and I'm sure it'll work out.
Yeah.
So
Like
just
it's
one
I also
follow.
want.
yeah, like I don't know how it works in India, to be honest, because like I've only like looked at US studios and European studios, so I'm not really sure how to
I think
approach
I think
Indian
Vibha can
people.
share that.
I
What?
also want to add to that answer. Like nowadays, it's the best way to connect with communities. Like there are a lot of communities on Discord too. So they post about internships and jobs on their Discord groups
Mhm.
also. So it is the best. Like everyone wants to be a part of community these days. So the more you become active on those communities, the more they prefer you to work with them.
Mhm.
True.
I have a follow-up question on this. Like, even if he approaches the foreign, maybe studios or stuff, so is it worth it? Like, how can we justify with the industry standard that the work we are currently pursuing right now is up to the mark with the industry, or are they exactly requiring the same?
I don't think it matters as much. I think like someone mentioned, it's like you just have to be confident that your work is good enough. Like if you have good enough style, or like if if you have like let's say good reel, that's all that matters. I mean, of course, like you can just reach out to people for feedback and stuff like that and edit your work and then just apply. Like you, I don't think it's your concern to make sure that it's relevant or something like that, because if I know correctly, people like studios are always looking for more talent, especially now because of COVID. Motion graphics just exploded, so there are a lot of clients who need a lot of motion graphics work, so studios would need a lot of manpower.
Yeah.
So
Just never underestimate yourself.
exactly, no, don't do that. Just be confident, be overconfident if it takes.
I
Yeah, we'll
think,
do
yeah,
that.
Just
like,
That's
throw
really
that
true,
email.
I would just like to add that, also you thinking like if your work is really good or not, everything is just very subjective. And we as human beings are quite self-critical. So you may think that it's not very good, but somebody else, maybe it might be a gem of a work. So just have confidence, because this is something that even I've got over time. I've been very underconfident about my work, but eventually, if you just see you'll understand. Just have little confidence in your work, and it will just go well. And just know that everything we are in a creative field, everything is subjective. Your senior
True.
might not like it, but the client might love it. So there is no proper uh, rule to judge this. So just be happy, be confident, keep going.
Sure. Thank you.
I think I'll add on this. So like I personally believe that like we should have an opinion as well, that like what is good and what is bad. Like I personally like believe that a lot, that like this is good and this is bad, because I don't think this is like it's not an art. This is design, like motion design. So I think like most probably like a lot of you won't be like agree on this, but yeah, like I think that like you should have an opinion that like what is good and like what is bad.
Yeah,
Oh
And
yeah,
you
I
will
totally agree
understand
with
that
that.
by yeah.
if your work
Hmm.
doesn't satisfy you,
Yeah,
then does it
Hmm.
exactly.
satisfy anyone
Like
else?
that's the thing. Like you should have an opinion yourself, but you should also be open to
Yeah,
getting like feedback. Also, I think
True.
it's best of
definitely.
both that you
Yeah,
should
I would, I would
accept.
also like to add, like Raz had said, this is not art, it's design. I think that's a very important point. Like, because art, design is art with, I think I forgot someone who said that, because design is art with a lot of, calculations and like, so I think you have to like make sure that while the art is like subjective and everything, the design part, the calculation part, the part where this client has to be satisfied, that also has to be
Yeah.
right. um yeah, so Yes, can we keep it rolling with the slides? Sorry, I mean, I don't want the discussion to go off topic. That's all. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So sorry, just to add to this because this ties together with the
Yeah,
first point. If you're applying like the first time, like be a lover. So if you're applying, like we talked about looking at studios and the kind of work they do, and then producing that kind of work if you want to get hired by them. So when you're doing that, you're also analyzing what they are doing right and what you're doing wrong. So when you know the things that you are not doing, like you know what to do next. So just having this distinction of where you are and where you want to be, and then trying to bridge the gap.
hmm
So, but I think, yeah, that's very important. Just knowing where you are honestly and where you want to go. And just one question: do I appear horizontally on Meet? Do I?
vertical.
Uh, okay, then.
You look all right.
Okay, yes. So yeah, the final point. I think by now all of you know what our going theme is because here we are. We need to talk. So I think again going with the theme of you've already gotten in the internship. I think a lot of times again I haven't faced this with any client who's based out of India or any studio which is based out of India. But in India we have faced a lot of this both while freelancing and while working uh, as an intern there, where they like you have to work for a really long time during the day. So for example, there was a place that I was working at and the time on paper was around 9 or 9:30 a.m. till around 5 p.m. But I think almost every day I ended up working till around 8 or 9 p.m. Not because I was slow. Obviously I was slow, but that wasn't the only that wasn't the only reason. The other thing also was that like the other thing is that everything in India is urgent. Like no matter what happens, everything is urgent, and because of that, they are going to tell you everything is really urgent. We need this
Now,
tomorrow. Yeah, we need this now. So they'll be like, you can stop working by today, but we need this tomorrow morning, which obviously means that you need to work the night, which is extremely, extremely unfair, even if you are in a junior position. And this is going to happen a lot. And I think there comes a time where you have to confront your employer and be like, this is not what I signed up for.
Working for me.
Yeah, this is not what I signed up for. And I think we need to, talk about this. I'm not comfortable working these extreme hours. I also have my university to get back to. I have a personal life. Like work is not the only thing I do. I have other things to do as well. So I think obviously we like you don't need to be aggressive about it, but just confronting in a very is not means you. Yes, just comforting in a very honest way, and I think companies might be receptive of it, or they might think that you are you're an asshole. The companies might think that you're an asshole, but uh,
it's not the like it's not the company thinking like I feel like they are trying to guilt trip you into working mode because I've come across I think there was someone in F9 who I got into a call and he had told me that they told him that if you are like this you won't get anywhere in the industry. I mean that is
Oh, that's like
classic.
emotional abuse.
Yeah, I
exactly.
mean, you don't, force someone to work for 12, 13 hours and then like into the night and then tell when they want to quit, you don't, tell them that that's something like that. That's completely like that's just wrong. And this sort of happens quite a lot. So, regardless of how many time, like how much you love your work, you will need a break regardless of like you might be the most passionate person in the room even in the world, but you will need a break from your passion. You will
Yeah.
need to go have food, take rest, see your parents, see your family, see your friends. It's part of you know you are a human being as well. Yeah, sorry, continue, Rishabh.
No, like exactly like what you're saying. Like we are working to live. At least for me personally, I'm not living to work because at the end of the day, uh, we are going to turn old. We are going to, you know, like I'm working to. Obviously, I really enjoy working. So that is obviously an added bonus. But I'm working so that I have money and I can do other things that I enjoy doing. I like, I like playing drums. I like playing other instruments. I like watching movies. So I want to be able to earn enough to do all of that while enjoying the work that I'm doing. So I think having that balance, and I think only if I do that will I be able to sustain this for a longer period of time, because obviously this is my profession. This is not going to just fizzle out in a year or two. I know that I have to do this for a very long period of time, and for that to happen I need to take regular breaks. I need to be passionate about what I'm doing, and if I keep doing it, I don't think I can, I don't think I could do that every day.
That's
Does
true.
anyone else want to say anything about this?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is something that all of us have faced once or twice at least once in our careers. Even if you're just starting out, I think it's the people who are starting out who face it the most.
What, the
Yeah.
burnout? Or
No, not burnout. I think I'm sorry, mm, I got sidetracked. Not burnout, but the pressure from the companies and all.
yes. I mean, that kind of eventually leads to burnout, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think
true.
has anyone listened to Ryan Summers podcast?
Yeah,
He
yeah.
said that burnout. Most people think associate burnouts with working too much hours, but burnouts can also happen when you have a very toxic workplace. So
Precisely.
if you have a very toxic workplace, and your work might be getting you somewhere, but your career might not be going anywhere. So that's when you
Exactly.
know it's time to walk out, or maybe even your life might be in a very difficult situation if that's the thing. So that's when, like, if you're not happy with it, regardless of how passionate you are, it's time to walk out, regardless of.
Exactly. Yeah, because you can work for 12 to 14 hours if you love the workplace and if you are passionate about your work. So it's totally like toxic places, like perfect definition for burning out. Or
Has anyone heard about the great resignation that's happening right now?
No.
So because of COVID and work from home has increased, and like the problem with work when people, like companies, shifted to work from home, what happened was the working hours increased by a lot. Like when you're in the office, you have a clock in and clock out that time. So but when you're home, there is no separation from work and family. So people started getting burnt out very quickly, and like the number of people who are resigning from even top positions, well-paid jobs, are very high. Like I don't remember the number. A friend of mine recently told me that Deloitte, like so and so, this many number of people just quit Deloitte because they were burnt out. That is huge. Like it was. I don't remember the exact number, but I do recall like going, okay, that's quite a lot. Like
same story with Infosys too.
okay. So so yeah, guys, Rishabh, Raz, you guys can, or wait, was that the last slide or?
Yeah, this is the breakup.
Okay.
Yes. So yeah, this we just had put in this slide for additional questions that if people had any. So yeah, we are done with our key points. And
I
yeah,
have
sorry, Vibha, go on.
sorry to cut you. Please carry on. I'll speak later.
No, just yeah, we are done with our presentation, but yeah, obviously here's a shameless self plug. Please follow us on Instagram and on Behance. And if you go on to our Instagram, you'll find our personal accounts. So yes, I think we are done with the presentation.
Thank you.
Okay,
First of all,
great.
it was really great. Thanks for the presentation. It was quite insightful. I learned a lot of things today. Like I did not know many things. So thanks for all the information and stuff. I had one question in the beginning of the presentation. You guys mentioned that we should stalk people and try to find inspiration outside Instagram also. Like you mentioned, motionographer and Behance. So I was just wondering, what other websites do you guys, go to find inspiration?
I go to Wine After Coffee in Vimeo. That's like such a great place for inspiration.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Real
So
that's true.
mographers.
Yeah.
also, I have a question for Vidha. There was a question that how do you get internships in, like, what is the internship situation? Like, how to apply for internships in studios in India? And I know you work for post office, right? So, like, could you shine a light on that? On that?
I actually see, honestly, if I tell you, I don't have much say in that department because we have different departments who look into different things. And like, I may not be very directly associated with this. Like, usually what happens is, people reach out to us on Instagram, people reach out to us on emails. If
Mm-hmm.
people know that somebody's working at this particular studio and, they just try to reach you out wherever, like, be it Facebook, be it, like through connections. And then it's just quite very personal because now, particularly for post office studios, if you see, it's not like a big agency or something, right? Although we have departments, although we have hierarchies and stuff, but it is still a small company. I mean, we are a small team. We are not like, 200 people company. So it just like a word of mouth. You try to reach out, you spam them, send 100 emails, send whatever. Just be in attention, get some attention. That's how it works. You just
So,
have to show that, you are like little, you want to do it. You need to show that, little,
mhm.
that's it. Just be there. Try spamming everything. Be in attention. Take attention. That's all. Also,
Great.
keep present good work, because
Mhm.
if, there's no point if you keep spamming, but your work is not so appealing. So make sure your work is great. If not, work on that work and then apply. Because we people do, they usually keep looking out for great artists. If your work is great, you will anyway get it. So yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you very much.
I can add on to that. Like I'm currently working with MPC, so there's a business unit called the Mill who
Mm,
hires for motion graphics too.
mhm.
So here, what happens is like they tell their employees to bring people. Like we have the referring system here. Like we can refer people. So I am just wanted to say if anyone want to apply in the Mill, I can refer them out.
Oh, great.
Correct. But again, now this is like referring and everything is great. We can definitely push and be like, please have a look at this profile, and but eventually what is going to get you the work, get you the job, get you the internship is your work. So
That is
that
true.
needs to be solid. Yeah.
That is true.
So, just a second. Are
Great.
you talking about like the mill? Like,
Yeah,
The
that,
yeah,
okay.
I mean, like
Four
just know
rectangles.
that they were the ones
yeah,
who
yeah.
did the
Like
Apple.
I am into VFX properly. Like I left the motion graphics thing, but
Mhm.
yeah, the mill comes under the Technicolor's benchmark.
No.
So there are 5 business units of the Technicolor. So I am into MPC, which does like proper VFX work. So like we have access, like we can refer in any business unit.
Mhm. Great, guys. So before everyone leaves, I think we can wrap up for the day, right? Or okay, great. So I just want to say that I'm so happy. Like we have right now we have 34 members, but earlier like like this is the biggest you know attendance we had. Very like I think this is the biggest attendance. So that is pretty huge. So firstly, thank you very much to Kruthi, Rishabh, and Raz for this amazing session. Like the three of you just gave us a huge insight into both motion design schools and in applying for internships and in general. So like we got to like there's a lot of people here. I know that are very glad that came here to listen to you guys, and I'm so glad like a lot of people have come forward and asked questions, and that's sort of discussion that I want in Toggle, and I'm hoping to have this like it would be great to have this attendance for every session. So I like, don't be shy. Like that's the theme that we went with. Don't be shy. Come say hi. So for everyone who are not in F9, so I'll just give a quick intro again for F9. So if you want to join, you can join. So F9 is a community of motion designers in the Indian subcontinent. It was started, I mean, it's basically the brainchild of Amin. And Amin and I started it a year back. And we have been doing it for like, you know, holding meetings like this. This is called, the meeting is called Towel, most for on Wednesdays. So yeah, so getting to joining, like, you know, we are a Slack community, so we share resources. There are members from other from studios, like Vibha is from Post Office Studios, and there are a bunch of other studio members as well. And there are the producers, I believe. So he is from a studio. I'm sorry, I'm not sure. And you know, there are a lot of people from all over the country. So if you want to join, you can join. Like I'll leave the link to Harish has just sent the link over. But if anyone wants to apply, you can go to the website and just ask for the invite, and you can get the invite from there. Because if I close the link in here, you'll lose the chat. So I don't want to just do it. So if anyone wants to get into F9, like all you need to do is like just show us like you have some sort of work with motion design, because we just want to make sure that you are interested in, you know, you're taking motion design seriously and going ahead with it. That's all, that's the only criteria. We just want to see at least one piece of work that you have. It can be anything. It doesn't matter. So I just want to thank. Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
I was just thinking now, like I know it's you passed our time. It's already 10:45. But I was just wondering, there are so many people. If anybody wants to just come up and talk about themselves, introduce themselves.
Yeah, go ahead.
Because we've been like there are so many people who are joining us for the first time. Feel free to come up, talk to us. It's fine. Introduce us. Introduce yourself.
By the way, my mom is also watching this, so I told her specifically not to open it at first, but then she's like she wants to watch it, so she's also watching it right now.
I think I let her in. I think I saw
Hello,
her.
auntie.
Even my mom is here.
Hello,
Okay.
auntie.
So awesome.
Right beside me, she's sitting on the bed here.
Namaste
Yeah,
to your
that was-
mother from Jaipur.
Yes, namaste from Stockholm.
Namaste from Bangalore. And, yeah, I moved to Bangalore. By the way.
Vishal, I am moving to Bangalore too.
Oh,
Hey,
yeah,
I'll be
yeah,
in Mysore next month.
awesome. A lot of people are moving to Bangalore. That's great.
Yeah, I am coming on 26th March.
Yeah, we should all have a meetup here one day.
Yes.
Definitely.
So I just have one question that I saw Sid Jane put up. I have two questions. Firstly, you are the only two motion designers and stuff, or have also done something else in your life, like got a degree in something else. I'm confused whether should I only focus on my passion or should I have a backup where I am not that interested. Secondly, how to get job or projects in this field as a freelancer. So for the second question, actually, we'll put up a whole different this thing, because that's a huge, that's a huge meeting. That's
Freelance manifesto.
Yeah,
we can have like a whole toggle just to discuss that.
Mm-hmm. And for the first question, oh sorry.
Oh yeah, the first question. It's like right up my alley. I have masters in space science and technology. So that it's not that I was not interested in it. I was really interested in it, and I still am. But I also was interested in animation. So, I mean, don't do something that you're not interested in it just to have a backup, because it's not going to get you anywhere. You're just not going to be happy if you're not interested in it at all. I mean, even though I was really into space science and technology, I was still like not really happy with the academia because it can be so dry and like, ew. So what?
Mhm.
Yeah, toxic. Toxic was the word I was looking for. Academia can be really toxic. But
So
yeah,
yeah,
so if
I
you're not
remember
interested, don't
you
do it.
about it. So and I did my computer science engineering, and then after that I went to motion design. Like we have a lot of like, and I think Prashant, no, Gaurav is a electrical engineering, and
I'm also
Prashant is a
computer
computer
science
science.
engineer.
Yeah, we have a lot of background. See, we all moved to motion design because because we were tired of, yeah, like I moved to motion design right after college because I knew I didn't want to sit in front of the computer coding all day. I mean, I love coding,
I wish
but
I had
I
knew that.
prefer more.
I
Vishal,
wish
I'm
I
just
had
adding
known
on
this
it.
industry.
Hmm?
The moment I went into my college, and I was like, "Nahi, this is not what I'm going to do. I'm also doing engineering in computer science."
So
And
yeah,
he's my junior from college.
Like,
क्या
funnily
बात है?
enough,
well,
I
I don't. It's not that I don't hate it. I love coding, but I love motion design more. So
yeah,
I mean,
exactly. It's more, I don't know.
yeah, I
It's
mean, I
not dry.
integrate. Yeah, it's not dry. That's exactly the word. It's not.
Yeah.
It's never dry.
Yeah,
Motion design and animation. It's always fun. That's
exactly.
Yeah.
Even my college vice principal just says that animation is also part of engineering only, na bro. You
Yeah.
Indeed.
you do coding and anything. Like you need to code something or other. I'm like, yes, sir, for sure. We do code.
okay,
Yeah, but
guys.
it's not like writing like 10,000
Yeah,
lines
yeah,
of
of
code
course.
in After Effects.
And finding that semicolon in
That's it.
that.
Okay, so there is another question by Ankit. So he asked, how do you find Slack communities like this one and like couple of Rishabh mentioned in the meet? So other than F9, so F9 is India based, and I know there are a lot of other Slack communities out there that are India based itself. I am part of mograph.com and motion design Slack community also. So those are two different Slack communities you'll find, but a lot of the members are like, there's a lot of members both of like, you'll find a lot of prominent motion designers in the industry in both of them. So I believe mograph.com opens up their opens their links once in a month, I think. I'm not sure because I got it from someone in School of Motion, and that's why I got into it. And MDA Slack is that is I think some you can just apply it. You can just search for it on Google, and they'll give you a form, and you can just apply to it, and they'll let you in within 7 days. It's very easy. You just have to provide a proof that some sort of work as proof. That's all you need. Just like that's basically how, like, just like F9, but like on an international level. And that's the guys, like the work, the people there are next level. Like they are a different next level people.
Even
Okay,
Ben Marriott have his own community, I guess.
yeah.
Yeah, and
Motion
Motion by
Hatch.
Nick. Motion by Nick
Oh,
is also his community.
yeah. Okay. And then there is one motion hatch by
Motion
Haley.
Hatch.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and motion hatch is just a quick, this thing. Motion hatch is basically all about business. It's they
Yeah,
won't
it's
have
like
any.
it's a lot about business and freelancing than like
Yeah,
creative
and
aspect of it, right?
then motion design exactly. And I don't know.
And just to add one thing, so like the community that I was talking about, it's called Yambo Studio. So anyone who's interested in 3D, like primarily 3D,
Mhm.
I think that Slack group is really helpful because there are a lot of prominent people there. So there are a lot of designers from Tendril, from Buck, from even from Yambo, like people that he works with on that channel. So I think I just mailed them with my work and told them, like, I was applying as an intern, but then they were like, you can join this Slack channel, and if I can find the link, I'll like share it with you guys. Or you can also just mail them directly and just share your work. So like as Amin, I'm sorry, as Vishal mentioned, if they see some sort of a similarity in or if they see just some sort of an interest, they will let you in. So it's not very difficult to get into these Slack channels.
Okay.
Rishabh, what was the like the community name called?
Yeah, so the
Yambo.
just give me a second. The exact name I'll tell you. It's called Yambo and Associates. So that is the name of the Slack channel.
Mhm.
Yambo is just one guy, right? He
YAMBO.
Yeah,
Right.
he operates as a studio, and he has
operates as a studio, but he's one guy, I guess.
I
yeah,
think
he's
it would
the
be
founder.
best to share those community names on our Slack
Yeah,
also.
I think that's much better. Otherwise, we'll keep, spelling mistakes and all can happen.
Yeah, yeah.
So I think that it's time to conclude for the day. So uh, mostly because I'm hungry, I haven't had dinner.
Same,
Bro,
same.
it's too late.
Oh yeah, isn't it like 11 or something over there?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's almost 11.
Ha ha
I
Uh,
have my dinner at 6:30 p.m. So you are very late.
yeah, I know.
And also, our roommate is here. Parth is here. He's, I think, in the room beside Raz's, and he's watching. He's watching this, so
He's
he's also
probably
here.
waiting for me, I guess.
Okay. Guys, okay, so thank you everyone for coming, especially Ras, Rishabh, and Kruthi. You guys have been giving us awesome information. Like, I know, like, all of us have got, like, even like, I didn't know Yambo had a Slack community. So I'll definitely be joining that. And like I said, if you want to join F9 Collective, just go to f9collective.com. The link is up there. And you're more than welcome to join. And yeah, and have a good night.
Yes, thank you so much for having me here, and
Thank
I'll
you.
see you
Yeah.
on F9 soon.
Yes, please.
Thanks, guys.
And
Thank you so much.
And great presentation, by the way. It was so entertaining.